Hello class, today what we're going to be doing is the employee to student conversion. So what we have here is we have two Java files under fourth period marking, and we're doing the employee test. First one we want to look at is the employee, because this is what the program does. I'm going to do a quick line by line, then I'm going to start the program. So we create an object. What this object basically is what I think of as a super variable. This super variable can basically hold lots of variables and have functions that we can run on those variables. And it stores instances of all these values, and I can create multiple employees very quickly. So it's basically like an array on steroids. So this employee class can become like an object, like a string or an int or something like that. So when I call that object, I can set up a name, age, destination, and salary. If I want this to hold more variables, I just put in another variable, and now when I create a employee, it has a temp variable as well. I don't usually declare what the values are. Usually what I do is I put them into the constructors. Before, when you made a new array, so you go int array x equals new int of 7, you would basically create an array of size 7. This would be your quote-unquote constructor. Well, with objects, you have custom-made constructors that do special things. So this constructor, named the same name as the class, that's why I know it's a constructor, which does not have a return type because it just constructs the object, only takes in a name, which is a string variable. Therefore, I say this dot name, which is this one, equals name, which is the name that's passed in by the constructor. And then all the rest of the variables I set as a default value. So by default, they're just born, they don't have a job, and they don't have a salary. Now, if I have another constructor, I'm overloading the constructors because I have multiple constructors. Now I can set up my age and name, and then if I wanted to, I could say, well, I could take a guess that my salary is going to be age times 1,000. So if I'm 18, I earn 18,000. If I'm 30, I earn 30,000. And my designation, I'm going to say, because he doesn't have a job, I'm going to call him up, because college students somehow miraculously make money. Now I can also make more constructors if I want to. I just want you to make one more constructor that has 3 parameters. Now what we have is methods. And these methods do something special. What this method does is it says empAge. This is a setter, which means when I call empAge, employee age, I'm setting the age to this new age. So if I were to create the constructor without an age, I can then go back in and change the age by calling this method. I would call the method by saying my employee dot empAge of 28, because now that employee is now age 28. I can do the same thing with the employee designation, which means give them a job title. So I would copy the function and say, okay, well, emp designation, I'm going to pass in a string entrepreneur. And now I'm setting his designation as my variable that I pass in, which would be entrepreneur in this case. What I want you to do is I want you to create, I don't want to create another setter because that's nonsense. I want you to create a method. Yeah, methods based on an object. A method that has 2 parameters and returns a string. And I also want you to create a method that has 1 parameter that returns a Boolean and 2 parameters that returns a int. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating students. So one example of this that you cannot use would be to return the first class that they're doing. Well, if they're 20 years old in a freshman class, ooh, sorry, no. So it takes in the grade level, and it takes in the GPA. I don't know. Yeah, grade level and GPA. So it takes in two integers, and it's going to return a string which computer class it should take. Or it would return a string what teacher you should avoid. Create a method that has one parameter that returns a Boolean. Did they pass? True, false. If their GPA, they pass in GPA. If GPA is below 2.0, you failed. False. If it's not, true. Create a method that has two parameters that returns an int. I'm going to do, let's see here. Integer value. Oh, what grade they should be in next year. So current grade level plus GPA, and that will tell me if they passed freshman year. And they should go into sophomore year, otherwise they stay in freshman year. So those are three examples of what you can do. You can do anything. It does have to make sense because I want you to put some thought into it. So there's that. These are getters, which means I want to get the age. Well, you can't access this age because it's a private variable, which means only the object itself can access this. And the reason why you do this is you don't want random objects or programs accessing this data, because if you have their age able to be changed outside the object class, well, then you can't control their age, so they can become they're 10 years old and next year they become 50 years old because some other program changes their age. You don't want to do that, so you use a setter and a getter to do that. And again, get the name as well. You're going to have to be creating getters and setters anyways to do this. I want you to create 5 new variables. These are the old ones. You don't need those. But this needs to be student with a capital S because you're making an object. And you need to rewrite the toString method to have it make sense for your object. Which means you're going to be the toString method is custom made for every object. You want to make it so that it makes sense when you call the toString method for your object, it produces the relevant information, aka usually all the information. And then what we want to do is in the the student test one, what this does is I create one employee, I create another employee, I create a third employee. And then what I want to do is create 4 students, create an array to hold their GPA, and then create an array to hold their names. And then create a 2D array to hold their GPA and names. Which the whole reason I have you make the GPA then the names is then it can help you build the 2D array to hold the GPA and names. And then print out all 2 strings for each student, and then print 1D arrays and 2D array, and output which student is the best based off of a method that created in the student class that returns a student. So basically what you'd have to do is in the employee class, instead of returning a string, what you want to do is return a You want to say public student gets best, and this would take in a student A, student B, and student C. Because you're calling this on one student, so you already have a student, and it actually return a student, which is a temporary student variable that holds that. I don't care how you determine which one's best, but there does need to be a comparison between all four of some kind, and a tiebreaker. So you need at least one tiebreaker. So you need to compare two different variables. Okay, good luck. Have a good one. Please realize this is movie number 2 on employees. There is another movie on this. If you need more help, go back to it. It is posted. Have a good one, and I will see you later.